Okay, Coach, big win against Shadron this past weekend. Um, Keeps the team unbeaten. Just talk to me about that victory for the Jacks.
Well, we certainly have a lot of respect for Shadron coming in. A 3-1 football team. They had scored a lot of points. They had 71 the week before, I think it was, 50 plus at halftime, 42 at halftime against Western State. So we certainly knew we were going to face a good football team, and we did. The final score may not reflect that, but I think that just has to do with the fact that we played extremely well. Got off to a great start, 21-0. At first 6 minutes, you just can't ask for much more than that. But over the course of the entire game, I'm probably most pleased with our defense, the way we got after Shadron State's offense, for 7 turnovers, 5 interceptions, and pitched a shutout in the second half, which is difficult to do when you have a lead, because you're going to be playing a lot of players, and there is that natural tendency maybe to ease up a little bit, but that did not happen. So overall, a great night.
Offensively, it was a big game for the Jacks. Like you said, getting up early and scoring often. What worked well for you offensively this past weekend?
Well, big plays again, and we've got players that can do that can make big plays, both in the pass game and the running game. Certainly, we got off to a real good start. Javar Bird with the screen pass, taking that the distance. Jameer Austin with a really nice play on that, set up by a long pass to John Todd. So throughout the night, we were able to get behind their secondary in some cases and really establish ourselves. So again, anytime you don't plan for that, but it's certainly nice when it does happen on your side. And but again, we've got playmakers. We do it at a lot of positions. Again, we had 9 different receivers with receptions Saturday. A couple weeks earlier against Simon Fraser, I think we had 11 different receivers with receptions. So I think that ability to spread the ball around. By the way, you got Quan Gardner, you got Jabar Bird, you got Isaiah Hall in the backfield, running behind a quality offensive line. I think we pose a problem for a lot of defenses.
You talked about pitching a shutout in the second half, and just how well your defense was able to stand up against a team that had scored quite a few points before coming into Saturday's game. Were there any defensive standouts that should be mentioned?
Well, certainly Davion Johnson. Davion with 3 interceptions, tied a conference record. 5 interceptions as a defense total, with Ryan McKenzie getting 1, James Clark getting 1. But again, you held a team that had run the ball rather successfully over the course of their season to under 50 yards total rushing. So coming off a game like we had at Western Oregon, where we gave up too many yards and some big plays, to be able to turn around and play the way we did defensively, that should give our defense a great deal of confidence as we get ready for obviously a very, very talented Central Washington team.
You mentioned it, Coach, a battle of top 25s this weekend in Ellensburg. Talk to me about what your team is looking forward to when facing the Wildcats.
Well, again, I've lined up on the other sideline from Central Washington for a lot of years now, and here's what I know: when you go to Tomlinson Stadium, the crowd's going to get into it. There's talent on the far sideline, talent on the field wearing the red and black. They're just a very good, well-coached football team, and they're always very, very physical. They've got athletes at every position. There's a reason they're undefeated, and it should be a great matchup and a great challenge for us. Not an easy place to play, but we won at Azusa Pacific, we won at Western Oregon, so we've been in those type of situations already this year. But they're a very good football team, as their record would indicate.
Coach, you've always talked about how your team focuses on itself and improving each and every week. You've got 2 matchups against what could potentially be 2 top 25 teams this weekend in Ellensburg, and then the following week, not looking too far ahead, but in Azusa at home. Do you prepare any differently when you face these high-level teams?
Again, our goal each and every week, I've said it many times, is to be 1-0 that specific week. And that was our goal heading into Shadron. That's our goal this week against Central Washington. We don't look ahead to whoever we might have the following week. We got our hands full with Central. Again, they're as good as there is, and certainly the GNAC right now, and they're very deserving of the national recognition, national ranking that they're getting. So again, we will. It's very much business as usual. We're going to go to practice today here on Tuesday and have a quality practice. Do the same tomorrow on Wednesday. The difference is the travel that we look at. We'll have an early Thursday practice. That's a change in the schedule, allowing us to get a mid-afternoon departure on our way heading north up to Ellensburg. So, but again, you can't change. We have a routine that has worked up to this point. It would be wrong to try and deviate from that routine. I'm a believer that routine is a good thing. Players know, what they're going to get on a Tuesday, what they're going to get on a Wednesday and Thursday practice, and we will continue that.
One last question for you, Coach. Obviously, you've been in the game a long time. Season is a war of attrition, battling injuries, and your depth really has stepped up throughout this year so far. How is the team doing injury-wise heading into this trip to Ellensburg?
I think like most teams mid-season, here it is October, you're going to have some injuries, and we're no different. Certainly John Todd, probably the biggest at this point. It does not look like he will be ready to go this week, but we're still hopeful. But again, he's been a big player for us, but hamstrings are funny issues. And Lucas Miller's another one that injured a hamstring last week in the Chadron game. And so those usually are going to be 2 to 4 week type of recoveries in most cases. We got Thaddeus Filia that's been out. We're hopeful to get him back. But again, we're no different than other teams. We've got some injuries. You hope that your depth is sufficient to allow you to handle the injuries when they do happen.
Thank you, Coach.
Bet.